Yeah. So let's start. We'll start with a brief introduction and a brief history of Selenium, how Selenium evolved over a period of time. Right. Look, it's very important to know how this tool actually came up over a period of time. Right. Because there are so many components to this tool and many people they get little confused. Right. So the thing is, initially, when we worked for the first time on this tool, okay, there are three components in this tool. One's known as RC, one's known as ID, one's known as GRID. Okay, this was way back in 2007 or so. Okay, now obviously it's an automation testing tool. Selenium is an automation testing tool. It is a tool which will only work on browsers. It is not a tool for a desktop-based applications. Okay, so if you want to use IDE, Selenium IDE is the easiest tool, right? But the only thing is that it only works on Mozilla. It generates no reports, and it's primarily a record and run tool. Most of you must be knowing what record and run feature is, right? If you don't know, no worries. Every tool has a record and run feature. You can capture the events which you perform and then play them. Okay, now IDE is not a tool which can be used on multiple browsers to run 5,000 test cases. Okay, and which can generate reports and all everything. Okay, so if you have a very small application which has to be tested on Mozilla, IDE is more than enough. Okay, it will not generate any reports, nothing for you. All right, fine. So because of these limitations, right, people started using Selenium RC. Okay, RC is a tool which will work on multiple browsers, Mozilla, IE, Firefox, Opera, right? Okay, it also generates reports. HTML reports are generated, XML reports, right? You can generate. But the thing is, a tester is required to learn a programming language in this. Any one of the programming languages like Java, C#, Ruby, Python, Perl, PHP, RC is available in multiple languages. Okay, right. And you know, that's what made Selenium a big hit. Right, it was a free tool doing automation in an era where all the paid tools were available like Silk Test or QTP or something. So it could be used to automate a web-based application free of cost, and this gave a lot of boost to this tool. Right, and GRID is something which will help you to run the test cases parallelly. Okay, so hold on, I'll tell you. GRID is something in which you have a central node. Okay, from that central node, many sub nodes are connected. The central node is known as a hub. From the hub, many nodes are connected, and when you write your RC test cases, okay, when you run your RC test cases, okay, and when you want to run them parallelly, all right, in that case you use Selenium GRID. All right, fine. So this is the major. You can say this is these are the major components of Selenium. Now what happened was Selenium RC had got major disadvantages. Okay, I cannot discuss the disadvantages here. Many of you will not be able to understand. For example, there used to be a server in Selenium RC. You used to start that server from command prompt. Okay, many times it never used to get started and people used to end up logging off from their systems, logging in, and it used to create issues. Right, fine. So what happened was that they actually came up with Selenium WebDriver. Okay, Google came up with another tool known as Selenium. People from Google and ThoughtWorks is the original company which made Selenium. Okay, they came up with this WebDriver tool. All right. Now WebDriver, it removed all the deficiencies of RC. Okay. RC is also known as Selenium 1.0. WebDriver is also known as Selenium 2.0. Now it doesn't mean that in order to learn WebDriver you need to learn RC. Okay, you can learn RC without learning WebDriver as well. It is not necessary to learn WebDriver to learn RC. Or yeah, so people who have never seen Selenium RC and they work on WebDriver and then they look at the Selenium RC code, okay, it's very different for them. All right, so WebDriver is very different from RC. All right, now we will be covering WebDriver in this course. Okay, IDE is still there. It's not a very useful tool. I never use it. Okay, and GRID has evolved to GRID 2, which supports WebDriver test cases. Okay, right. So any questions from anyone? Which video? Which video are you not able to see? So any questions from anyone? What is the drawback of GRID? There is no drawback of GRID. You can run test cases on multiple environments, say Linux, Unix, and all everything. Okay, right. There is no particular drawback. Then why is okay, GRID is used to run parallelly? Okay, WebDriver will make your test cases, but when you use GRID, GRID will run those test cases parallelly on different machines. Okay, suppose you make 5,000 test cases, right, and you want to finish them quickly, so you run them on GRID. Okay, the question being asked is, will anybody use IDE to automate the test cases in real time? Look, people do use because they don't want to actually um, go in for a programming tool or programming language. Okay, so they try to use IDE, but it will waste more of your time. It is also a little unstable tool. Okay, it's better to use WebDriver. Okay, right. So anybody with any other question? Right. Now to learn WebDriver, the first important thing is that you need to learn Java language. Okay, you cannot just run away from this, right? And that's what we'll be starting with. Okay, now in Java, the primary thing which you need to learn is the concept of object-oriented programming. Oops, many of you must be hearing about it. Many of you must be reading about it, right? Many of you must have read about it theoretically, but you need to know this practically. Okay, what I mean to say is that, for example, if you go to the website, official website of Selenium, seleniumhq.org, if you go over here, right, and if you click on the download Selenium link, or this is the download link, there is a link for Java doc over here. Okay, if you open this Java doc, this is the documentation of Selenium. It's all technical in nature. You need to understand the concept of object-oriented programming to understand this documentation. Okay, as I said before joining the course, if you even don't know what a string is, what an integer is, what a function is, okay, so you can take the video tutorial access first, later join the course by paying the remaining fees. Okay, why do we use GRID? Well, to save our time. If you have got 10,000 test cases, okay, and you want to execute them on one machine, it will take you 10 hours, for example. So you distribute them over 10 different machines and run them parallelly, okay, using Selenium GRID. Right, Selenium GRID will assist you to run them parallelly. You will end up running them in 1 hour. It will save your time. That's the only reason. Okay, a few questions are being asked on chat. We execute same set of test cases against two different application servers. Will GRID, hold on, with GRID will I require? Look, it's not dependent on application server. If website is, for example, the website is xyz.com, you need to automate that website. Okay, right. So you can simply automate it. Okay, you don't need to think about application server. Okay, it's not application server or something. It's a simple node, and it's not a server client kind of a thing in GRID. It's a node, and you run the test cases parallelly on node. Okay, on multiple nodes. Okay, right. Now, okay, now out here, right, as I was telling you, Java is the most important thing. Client server application is like a website. Okay, Java is the most important thing. Okay, and we'll be starting off with Java. I think everybody has installed Java. You also need to install JDK. All right, you click on download JDK. All right, and you can go to the first website. If you have especially if you have a 64-bit machine, this is very important. Install JDK from here, Java platform. Okay, you go ahead and install Java Development Kit JDK. Don't download the demos or samples. I think everybody has a Windows OS these days. So these are the links for 62-bit or 34-bit Windows. You can download with JDK from here. Okay, right, and install it. And after installing it, you need to download Eclipse. Right, Eclipse is the editor for Java language. Many of you might be knowing about it. Right, you go and download Eclipse from Eclipse website. Simply search for Eclipse downloads on Google. Okay, and Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. You can download this one. Right. Okay, and for 64-bit download. Right, Eclipse comes as a bundle. All right, in my machine, Eclipse is present at this location. Hold on. Right, you don't need to install it. Okay, it comes as a bundle. In my machine, it's present at this location. You open it, you open Eclipse from just run the application, the exe file. Right, and Eclipse will start up. Okay, when Eclipse starts up, I hope you are not hearing some background noise from my side. Okay, when Eclipse starts up, you will see this workspace launcher window coming up. Okay, this workspace launcher window is having some path. Okay, this particular path out here is the path to your workspace, the place where you will be storing all your code and all everything. All right, so this is, I'll just call it July weekday. All right, so you will be storing all the code and all everything under this particular path in Eclipse. So whatever we do in this batch will be stored under this path. So you should also create a workspace for yourself, right, and keep all the projects inside it. Right, let it open. So this is Eclipse. Okay, Right. Now in Eclipse, the first screen which you will get is the welcome screen. Okay, you can close it. Fine. And on the next screen, you will have the project explorer over here. Okay. You keep all the files or the projects which you create under this project explorer. Okay. Right. You keep all the files and all in this project, the projects and all which you will see, you'll see under this project explorer. Okay. So you download any Eclipse Mehul, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. And then this in the central portion you do the coding and all, and at the bottom you'll see the results. Okay, so the code and all you write is over here, and the results which you get is at the bottom, and they are visible at the bottom section. Okay, right. So hold on. Right. So let me create my first Java project over here today. Okay, I'll right click in the blank space, select new project. Okay, under Java, select the Java project. Right, and call it day 1. Fine, and finish it off. All right, and in this day 1 project, if you see over here, see the source folder, folder in which we'll keep all the Java files and all. Right. Now the thing is, many of you might be knowing all these things, but I'm starting from a little basic thing because there are people in this class who don't know about it. Okay. So please be. So if you right click on, you'll see the properties option. You go to this, and you'll see the path under resources. You'll see the path where this project is lying on your PC. Okay, if you go to this particular path, practically you will see that it's got a source folder which is visible inside Eclipse. Okay, this source folder, just a minute. Yeah, this source folder is visible inside Eclipse. Right, but there are other folders like dot settings, bin, class path, project. Okay, these are not visible. We'll see what these are. Okay, as you proceed, you will come to know. Okay, in the source folder, right now nothing is there. So I'll create my first Java program over here. Right, I'll just call it sample.java. Okay, how do you create it? I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. You right click on the source folder, new class. Okay, you create a new Java file. It's also known as a new class. Okay, right, and you call it day 1. All right, fine, and you will have code like this generated. Let me increase my font size because many of you might not be able to see. Just a minute. I hope you are able to see. So this code gets generated, public class day 1. Okay, public static void main. This is the main function. Main function is present in every programming language. Okay, almost every programming language. This is the first function in which the control comes up. If you have studied C language or C++, main function is also over there. Okay, now what public is, what static is, all these things you will come to know as I cover the concepts of object-oriented programming. I have not started those concepts. Right, and as I told you earlier, I am assuming you know basic things, that what an integer is, int equals to 100, what a string is equals to hello. Right, I am assuming you know basic things. Okay, to print something in Java, the command is system.out.println. Okay, the shortcut is SYSO, and then you hit control space bar. of your keyboard. Okay, SYSO and then control spacebar, and you type over here Selenium. I'm just typing Selenium class over here. Okay, when you run this program, it prints Selenium class. Alright, at the bottom under console. Now, before I move forward, there are few mistakes which everyone does. For example, at times, this is the console at the bottom, right? You close this console by mistake, and then you see that, okay, fine, where is my output? I cannot see my output panel. Okay, or by mistake, this is the package explorer, right? By mistake, you close the package explorer sometimes. So the screen looks like this, and people who are new, okay, they actually get confused. So you can bring them back by going to Window, Show View, whatever view you want to show. Show View Console, so console will come back. Okay, Window, Show View, Package Explorer, so it will come back to you. Okay, so you no need to worry. This, at times in the beginning level, like people, they get confused and they come back to me with these questions. Okay, so this is you can control them through show view option. All right, now if you look at the source folder, you will have day1.java over here. You will be able to open it in a notepad as well. Okay, now if you go back under the bin folder, you will see day1.class file. For every Java file, a class file is generated by Java. You will not be able to understand if you open this file. You will not be able to understand anything. Okay, right. For every Java file which you create, a class file is generated. Right. For example, if I create a new class known as sample.java, and inside it I just print hello, and I run this program, it will print hello, and you will see that under the bin folder, sample.class file will be generated. So for every Java file which I am making in my project, I am having this class files corresponding to the Java file generated. Okay, these class files are actually you can say they are kind of exe files. You can deploy them, you can give it to the client to run. Okay, client will not be able to see the code. Okay, right. Now, what happens if your project has got many class files? Alright, you want to give your client these class files, and your project has got many class files. Okay, this is your project having many class files. Alright, so will you give each and every class file separately to the client? No, we don't do that. Right, we put all the class files in a single file, kind of zip, you can say, kind of zip it, and that single file is known as a jar file. Okay, when developers, they say that they are doing the deployment and all, they are actually deploying these jar files and all onto the servers. Alright, many of you must be knowing it. Please be with me as we proceed with the course. You will come to know everything. Okay, so a jar file is nothing but collection of many class files. If you look at your project, this is GRE system library in your project, this one. Okay, if you expand it, there are various jar files. GRE system library is basically Java which is installed in your machine. It is nothing but combination of various jar files. Okay, you can use any of the classes present in these jars. For example, if I expand this jar, there are so many pre-built classes present inside this jar. Okay, these jars contain the pre-built utilities in Java. What do I mean by that? For example, if I write over here system.out.println new date, what is new? I'm not going to tell you that right now, but please bear with me. All you need to understand is I am actually using the date class which is present in one of these jars over here. Okay, when I run the program, it prints the current date, time, year, and all everything. Okay, so I never had to do much from my side. I just created the object of the date class, it printed the date. Okay, and that's it. Right, so this is a pre-built utility. Right, this is the pre-built utility. Okay, similarly in Selenium, everything is pre-built. You need to understand what is there inside the jar files. First of all, you need to download and configure the Selenium jar files in your project to make it Selenium enabled. Right now, only the jars corresponding to Java are there in your project. Okay, whosoever made Selenium, right, if you go to the website of seleniumhq.org and if you go to the download section, right, you will have the download link for Java version. The current version is 2.46. Okay, you can download it. Right, when you download it, you get, hold on, like you get these jar files. These are the two jars over here, and under the library folder you will have many other jar files. These jar files you need to import inside Eclipse, inside the current project, okay, to make your project Selenium enabled. Alright, so all you need, how do you do that? I am recording this session. If you are not able to understand how will I import the jars, you can look at the recordings as well. Okay, so I am going to import the Selenium jar files into this project. Okay, you right click on the project, go to the properties, you will have various options. Go to this option, Java build path. Okay, right, and go to libraries and click on add external jars. Right, okay, this button over here, add external jars, you need to click here. Alright, and you will see this window, select the jars. This is not required sources.jar, this is the main Selenium jar file. Okay, you import it and you import all the jars under the library as well. Please note, import all the jars under library as well. People sometimes only import this one and then they don't import the library ones. Okay, and when you click on OK, you have the reference library section generated over here. Okay, under these reference library section, you will see the Selenium jar files. Now your project is Selenium enabled. For example, if I just write over here, new Firefox driver. Firefox driver is a class in Selenium which helps you to run the tests on Firefox. Okay, so when you run this code, you will see that a blank Firefox will open up. Yes, you need to import for every project, Vijay. Hold on, it's taking time. Meanwhile, the Firefox opens up. I'll repeat this step. Right click on day one, go to properties, the project, right click on that, go to Java build path. You will see 4 tabs. Go to the libraries tab, click on add external jars and add the jars. Okay, add this jar as well as the jars inside the library. Okay, now Selenium will not work on the latest version of Firefox sometimes. I have the latest version of Firefox. You have to switch back 2-3 versions and then it will work fine. So that is the issue happening with me. Actually, I'll revert back my version later on. Right. So anybody with any questions? Okay. Now I cannot just go on teaching you Selenium now before I start with the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay. These are the jar files. To understand what is there inside these jar files, I need to understand the documentation of Selenium, Java doc. And to understand the documentation of Selenium, I need to understand the concepts of OOPS. Okay, I'll be a little slow, Abhishek. Right. You need to understand the concepts of OOPS to understand this documentation. Right. So I'll stop here for today. I'll start with OOPS tomorrow.